Welcome to Night Visions, where we explore bone-chilling tales of being home alone at night. Night Visions presents Chapter 1, The Haunting Shadows. Our first story takes us to a quiet suburban home where a teenager finds themselves alone on a dark, stormy night. As the clock strikes midnight, the once familiar surroundings begin to transform into a realm of dread. The teenager, seeking solace in the safety of their home, is suddenly besieged by shadowy figures that seem to materialize out of thin air. At first dismissed as tricks of the imagination, these formless entities grow more menacing with each passing moment, casting an eerie pall over the house. Whispers, barely discernible at first, begin to echo through the halls, permeating the silence with their ominous presence. The teenager, initially dismissing them as mere figments of an overactive mind, soon realizes the palpable malevolence that accompanies the whispers. Confronted with an unexplained dread, the boundary between reality and nightmare becomes perilously thin. As the shadows close in, the teenager's heart pounds with relentless fear. Every corner of the house harbors unseen threats, and the once familiar rooms now feel like a labyrinth of impending doom. The teenager is ensnared in a nightmarish ordeal, where safety and security are threatened by an unseen and insidious force. Amidst the encroaching darkness, a mysterious elderly neighbor emerges, Mrs. Hawthorne. She appears as a frail figure with piercing blue eyes that seem to hold ancient knowledge. Her weathered face carries the weight of years gone by, and her long silver hair cascades like a shimmering waterfall around her shoulders. Despite her seemingly fragile appearance, there's an undeniable strength in her gaze and a sense of wisdom that transcends time. Mrs. Hawthorne, sensing the teenager's distress, speaks in a voice that carries a comforting authority. "Fear not, child. The shadows that haunt this home are not to be feared but understood. They are the remnants of a past long forgotten, seeking release from the binds of this world." With Mrs. Hawthorne's guidance, the teenager delves into the history of the house, uncovering a tragic tale of betrayal and unfinished business that has tethered the malevolent entity to the home. Through Mrs. Hawthorne's whispered words of ancient incantations, the teenager gains the courage to confront the entity that had tormented the family for generations. In a climactic showdown, the teenager, guided by Mrs. Hawthorne, confronts the entity, invoking the long-forgotten rituals that hold the key to releasing it from its earthly chains. As the incantations fill the air, the shadows begin to wane, and the oppressive presence gradually dissipates, leaving behind a sense of peace that had long eluded the house. The presence of Mrs. Hawthorne proved to be the catalyst that empowered the teenager to confront the malevolent entity, offering guidance and support in unlocking the secrets that bound the entity to the house. Her enigmatic wisdom and unwavering resolve provided the strength needed to dispel the haunting shadows and restore peace to the once troubled home. Chapter 2, The Unsettling Reflection. The clock struck midnight, its chime echoing through the silent house. Emma, a young woman in her 20s, sat on the worn couch, her fingers tracing the pages of a forgotten novel. The wind outside rattled the windows, a mournful symphony that seemed to seep into the very walls. Her parents had left for a weekend getaway, leaving her alone in the cozy home, a solitude she both relished and feared. The sudden power outage plunged the room into darkness. Emma's book lay forgotten on her lap as she fumbled for her cell phone. The flashlight pierced the blackness, casting elongated shadows on the walls. She sighed, reluctant to leave the warmth of the couch, but necessity drove her to the kitchen for candles. As she moved through the dim hallway, the floorboards creaked under her weight. The tapping noise began, a soft, rhythmic sound that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Emma dismissed it as the wind playing tricks, but the unease settled in her chest like a stone. In the kitchen, she lit the candles, their flickering flames casting dancing silhouettes on the countertops. The tapping followed her, growing more insistent. Emma returned to the living room, her footsteps echoing. The room felt different now, the air thick with anticipation. Emma, mumbling, "Just a power outage, nothing to be scared of." But then she saw it, the figure in the window's reflection. Her own face stared back, but behind it, something else lingered. An ethereal presence, half-formed and haunting. Emma's pulse quickened. She turned, expecting to find someone behind her, but the room remained empty. Emma, whispering, "Imagination, it's just my imagination." She settled back on the couch, the tapping noise returning, closer this time. The walls seemed to breathe, and the shadows danced with a life of their own. Emma's gaze shifted to the hallway mirror, a relic passed down through generations. Its ornate frame held secrets, and its glass was clouded by time. As she stared into her own reflection, something shifted. The figure behind her moved, an outline of a woman, eyes hollow and ancient. The whisper came, a chilling voice that seemed to emanate from the very glass. Whispering voice, "Emma." Emma's breath caught. She turned, but the hallway remained empty. The mirror held her gaze, its surface rippling like water disturbed by a stone. The voice continued, insistent and haunting. Whispering voice, "Remember." Emma's memories stirred. The scent of her mother's apple pie, the warmth of her daughter's laughter. But there was something else, a darkness she couldn't place. The tapping noise returned, louder now, as if the walls themselves were trying to communicate. Emma, shakily, "Who's there?" The power flickered back on, flooding the room with light. Emma hesitated, torn between curiosity and fear. She stepped toward the hallway, her reflection following her every move. The mirror held secrets of forgotten dreams, lost love, and paths untaken. And then, as if sensing her hesitation, the whisper returned, a single word that chilled her to the bone. Whispering voice, "Choose." Emma's hand trembled. The mirror awaited her decision, a gateway to something beyond. She could step through, reclaim lost memories, rewrite their story. But what would remain? Would Lily forget her mother's laughter, the warmth of her touch? Emma, to the mirror, "Who are you?" The glass rippled, revealing glimpses of alternate realities, parallel lives where choices diverged. Emma's heart clenched. She thought of her parents, the laughter of summers long gone, and the darkness that had always lingered at the edges. And in that moment, she made her choice, a choice that would unravel the fabric of reality itself. Let's delve deeper into the chilling tale of the malevolent intruder. Chapter 3. The Malevolent Intruder. The cozy countryside home stood nestled among rolling hills, its time-worn walls echoing with the memories of generations past. The single parent, a weary soul seeking solace in the quietude of rural life, had chosen this haven for its promise of tranquility. But on this moonlit night, tranquility would be shattered. As the clock struck midnight, the house settled into its nocturnal rhythm. Yet, from the darkened corners, a discordant symphony began, an unsettling overture that defied explanation. Faint creaks and rustling sounds morphed into a relentless cacophony, disturbing the very fabric of reality. The parent dismissed the noises initially, attributing them to the settling of old beams or the wind's playful dance. But as the nights wore on, the disturbances grew more insistent. Footsteps echoed in empty hallways, doors creaked open without a touch, and shadows danced across the walls. The once peaceful atmosphere now bore the weight of malevolence. Desperation gnawed at the parents' resolve. They sought rational explanations, a faulty heating system perhaps, or the overactive imagination of a sleep-deprived mind. But deep down, they knew better. These were not random happenstances. They were deliberate actions. One fateful night, as the moon hung low and the air thickened with dread, the parent confronted the malevolent intruder. Armed with a flickering candle and trembling courage, they followed the eerie sounds to the attic, a place long avoided. There, amidst forgotten trunks and moth-eaten blankets, the truth revealed itself. The malevolent intruder materialized, a specter clad in tattered garments, eyes aflame with ancient rage. It was no ordinary ghost. It was a vengeful spirit, bound to the house by a curse woven in blood and betrayal. The spirit's story unfolded, a tragic tale of love betrayed, secrets buried, and promises broken. Long ago, it had been a servant, loyal to the family that now occupied the house. But envy and greed had twisted hearts, leading to betrayal. The spirit's life ended violently, and its resentment lingered, festering in the shadows. The parent listened, heart pounding, as the spirit recounted its suffering, the years of torment, the longing for release. It sought retribution, not only for its own pain, but for the countless others who had suffered within these walls. In the attic's dim light, the parent made a choice. They would not flee. They would face the malevolent intruder head-on. With newfound resolve, they unraveled the curse's threads, seeking redemption for sins committed long before their time. The confrontation was harrowing, the clash of mortal and ethereal, anger and remorse. The parent's inner strength surged forth, fueled by love for their child and the desire to break the cycle of suffering. They whispered forgotten promises, acknowledged ancient wrongs, and offered forgiveness. And then, as dawn painted the sky, the malevolent presence dissipated, a wisp of smoke carried away by the morning breeze. The house sighed, its walls no longer haunted, its time-worn beams free from malevolence. The parent emerged from the attic, changed. They had glimpsed the veil between worlds, faced the darkness within and without. The cozy countryside home, once a sanctuary, now bore scars etched in spectral ink. As the sun rose, casting warmth upon the dew-kissed grass, the parent vowed to honor the spirit's memory. They would tend to the neglected graves, light candles for restless souls, and ensure that love triumphed over betrayal. And so the house stood, its walls whispering secrets, its windows reflecting both sorrow and hope. The malevolent intruder was gone, but its legacy remained. A reminder that redemption could be found even in the darkest corners of existence. And if you've enjoyed these bone-chilling tales, remember to like and subscribe to Night Visions for more thrilling adventures. We hope you'll join us for our next journey into the unknown.